See some familiar faces again. So today we're going to be looking at how to do spiral rope. It's a bead stitch as opposed to stringing beads along wire or something like that. You're actually creating something using basically needle thread and beads. So spiral rope is, let me just switch to another camera here. I've got a document camera that you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing. And so here, oops, put this into focus. There we go. This is backwards to me just because I'm left-handed and I know not everybody is. There we go. It's centered now. So spiral rope creates this beautiful, chunky, thick rope. And depending on the beads you're using, you can change it up. You can add focal beads like this. You can, let's see, you can use bugle beads, all kinds of stuff. So once you get this basic style of what you're doing, then you can change it up. So, you know, you can add, there's another example, different size beads, adding something there. So I'm just, of course I can't find it. That's some of the stuff you can do. I recently had a class that I started this. So I created a Christmas inspired one hoping it would cool the apartment down. It didn't work. Oh, here we are. A similar one. Now I suggested if everyone got 2 or 3 colors. These are using 4 colors. So the anatomy of spiral rope is that you have a core bead. You can see in this one that it's silver. In this one it's turquoise. So it's going up. Think of a spiral staircase. The spiral, the silver is at the center and all these other beads are spiraling around it. So I call them the core beads and the outside beads. The outside beads being these other colors. Now, if you don't have to have as many colors, that's fine. I'm going to actually show you how to do it in 1 and 2 colors. So just to give you ideas of everything that you're going to be able to do for it. So feel free to ask me questions, chat with me. It doesn't matter. Iona's here to help me, you know, with chats and that. So where do we get started? Well, I am going to use these 3 colors for now. I'm going to use this sort of brown color. And I'm using size 8 beads. Size 8 beads are not tiny. Comparison, these are size 11 beads. So that is about as small as most people get. And, but these ones are going to be much bigger. Bigger the bead, the faster it works up. I'm going to use this brighter green. Now, are people following along with me, or are you sort of watching me for further, you know, to get some ideas and maybe do something later?
I'm going to try and follow you.
I'll be following.
You're going to follow? Okay, wonderful.
I'm Susan and I'm following along also. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Here at T and I'm following.
Question, can we use a smaller bead in the middle?
I actually use a size 8 in the middle as well. So
I know,
all of this.
I was thinking of a size 11 in the middle. Can I do that, or a size?
Size 11 will fill up very quickly with thread.
Oh.
So if you're going to use, you can try a size 11. You're actually going to pass through the core beads at least 3 times. So
okay,
it can be difficult. Now, for my thread, what I'm using, let me just, this is, as I say, this is, let me see, just go into video settings. Okay. There. Nope. Okay, it didn't work. This is Fireline. I'd have a mirror to show you, but this is 6-pound Fireline. I tend to use this instead of beading thread because it is thin. It's thin, it's strong, it doesn't shred. And because I'm going through the core beads so many times, it actually works better because of the thinness. It doesn't fill the beads as much. So for a bracelet, you want about 1.5 wingspans. And so wingspans, if you stretch your arms out end to end, that's 1 wingspan. So you want 1.5, and that will do a bracelet. Okay, where do we get started? Well, my core beads, as I say, are these darker beads right here. So I am going to start off by picking up 4 core beads, 2, 3, 4, like that. And I'm going to bring them down to about 6 to 8 inches from the tail thread. How I hold my beading is that I hold the tail in my hand. I tend to wrap it around my finger just so it doesn't move too much. And then I hold it in my hand like this. If you are right-handed, you're going to hold the beads in your dominant hand. So you're going to, oh, sorry, if you're right-handed, you're going to hold the beads in your left hand so you can manipulate the needle with your right. If you're left-handed, you're going to hold the beads in your right hand and manipulate the needle with your left. So I have my core beads in hand. My outside beads are going to be 3 beads. And for my design, I'm going to pick up a light, a darker one, and a light. Those are my 3 colors, or my 2 colors for the outside beads. And I'm going to go, remember the bottom part, the tail is in my hand. This is the part that's leading to my nail, or my needle rather. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top through all 4 core beads and pull through. And what I'm left with is this shape here, which is like a D. Okay, so I'll just pause for a minute, let you get to there. And go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask me questions. We're all good? Okay, so that is the first stitch. My next stitch and every other stitch after this is going to be like this. I'm going to pick up 1 core bead, my 3 outside beads in my same pattern that I've done before. And instead of going through all 4 core beads, I'm going to go through the top 3, like that. So that there's 1 on the bottom that we're not going to worry about. That's what makes the beadwork grow in length. And again, pull through without your thread catching on everything. Pull it up like that. I'm going to bring it around so it sits beside the other beads. And this core bead that I've added, I'm going to stitch through there. I'm going to stitch from the center where the thread is coming out to the outside. Okay. And pull through. There is my stitch. And if you notice, this top one is the one that's a little bit higher. That's the second stitch I added. Let's do it again, because all the stitches are going to be the same from this point on. So 1 core bead, my 3 outside beads, and my other color. Through the top 3 core beads, pull through, bring it around so it lines up. We always want to do it in the same direction and go through and pick and have that, the core bead we just added, go through there, and that makes it longer. So there's 3 colors, or three stitches. And you can see how they're beginning to spiral. Okay? Any questions so far? We're good? Okay. So that's the spiral rope. And let me just do it again, because that's all part of learning, is the repetition of it. And you get really good eventually. So I picked up my beads, and notice I'm keeping them on my needle. Go through the top 3 core beads, pull through, line them up by bringing them around to the back, and go through the core bead that I just added. Okay, so how's everyone doing?
Not too good.
Not too good. Okay, so where are you having difficulties?
Just
Not-
getting
who's-
the bead stuck.
Okay, who's speaking first of all? Is that you, Hamda?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the difficulty you're having?
To get the beads into the same direction as you're doing that.
Okay, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
You're right-handed.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you started?
I did start, but I got stuck here. Look, I'm right here. Oh, you can't see it.
Yeah, it's difficult when I can't see it. Let
Yeah.
me, okay, so you got your first stitch on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take this back so we can start over. This is how easy it is to take on, just to undo it. So
Can we
you're
start
never,
from the very beginning?
yep, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. It's not an issue at all. So I'm going to pick up by starting by picking up 4 core beads. Okay, so that's my dark brown color. 2, 3. You know what? I'm going to brush these aside. I'm going to use another color, other colors that may be less blendy, because I notice in the camera they're blending a little too much. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the Christmas one, but still using, I think I'm going to use only 3 colors just so you can see it a little bit better. I'm still going to go with a Christmas theme though. Maybe it'll help cool it down. Okay, so I've got white for my core. I'm going to use green and red for my outside beads. A much brighter green that you'll be able to see better. Okay. Oops, lots of beads all over. Okay, so let's start again. I'm picking up 3 core beads. My white beads, 1, 2, 3, 4 core beads. I'm going to bring them down. I'm just pulling my thread through the beads till about 6 to 8 inches at the end. We're going to use that thread at the end to attach the clasp. So I hold the beads in my hand like this. My outside beads, the core, the accent beads.
I'm sorry, you're holding in your right hand or in your left hand?
Are you left-handed? Or
No, I'm
you're
right-handed.
right-handed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to do what I'm doing.
Okay.
You're going to hold your beads in your left hand.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to use your needle in your right hand.
Right hand. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Now, my outside beads, let's make it red, green, and red. So that's the beads that's going to add color. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top through all 4 of those core white beads. And I'm going to pull through. So what I have is that. It sort of looks like a D. And you can see where your core beads are beginning to curl. And that's exactly what you want them to do. Okay, how are we doing there? Oh, Sylvana, I'm so sorry that your internet is going in and out. Yes, I think we're expecting some really good thunderstorms today too. So that is our first stitch. That's what's going to set everything up. I'm going to hold it again so that I see my core beads. Now I want my piece to go longer. So I'm going to pick up another core bead and my 3 outside beads again. Red, green, and red. Red, green, and red. Okay, so this is stitch number 2. I'm going to, instead of all 4 core beads, I'm going to go through the top 3, just like, back in focus, just like that, and pull through. So that's what we have when we add our second stitch. And I'm going to bring it around so it lies right beside the first stitch. And I need to go through the core bead that I've just added. Okay. And of course my thread is catching on everything that you cannot see. There we go. That's the joys of stitching with needle and thread. The thread catches on everything. Okay, so that is stitched through. Let's do it again. I'm going to hold it so I see my core beads. Pick up a new core bead, my 3 outside beads. Get my thread out of the way. And I'm going to go through the top 3 core beads of my beading rope. Pull through. Here's what I have. I'm going to bring it around so that just to set them all beside each other. And I need to go through this core bead that I just added. And I'm going from where the thread is coming out of the previous core beads to the outside. And when I pull through, that's going to make that core bead sit on top. One of the things people tend to do, where a mistake happens, is that they'll go through the core bead in the other direction. And that's going to mess you up. So let's do this again. 1 core bead, my 3 outside beads, red, green, and red, through the top 3 core beads that's in my rope. And you'll notice, see how it's beginning to curve? That's exactly what you want it to do. So there you are. I'm going to pull through. And there's it pulled through. I'm going to wrap it so it lines up with all the other beads. You want to make sure you're lining them all up in the same direction. And there it is. Okay, so any questions so far? How you guys doing?
Good, Pam, good.
You're doing well? Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. So, and at this point, we just keep doing that over and over and over again. So,
Sorry, we start out with 4 core beads at the very beginning.
yes, start out with 4 core beads at the very beginning and your 3 outside beads. And you go through all 4 core beads and pull through. It looks like you've got a D once you've pulled it through. And then your next stitch and all the other stitches after it will be picking up 1 core bead, your 3 outside beads. I suggest leaving them on your needle like this. That way it won't get confusing as to what core beads you're going through. You're going through the top 3. Pull through. That's the core bead we just added in that stitch. So that's why it's at the bottom. But as you pull it up, it's going to be there at the top. So, and then
Okay.
go through. Go through
You
that
put it
core
on
bead.
the bottom. The core
You're-
bead goes on first.
The core bead goes on first. So core,
Yes.
your 3 outside accent beads.
Yes.
You're going to stitch up away from your hand. So your needle is pointing up and you're going through,
Okay. Then go through the core. Okay, gotcha.
okay? Your needle is pointing up and you're going through the top 3 core beads that are in your stitching.
Core.
And you're going to pull through. When you've pulled them through, you're going to line them up with your other beads and go through the core bead that you've added by going from the center out. So as you go, you're going to see that it spirals just like that. And you notice that the core beads are lined up, but they're also spiraling. As I say, it's just like a spiral staircase. Any questions? How's everybody doing here? I'm going to just flick over here. Susan, how are you doing? Susan Shaw? Go ahead and take yourself off mute.
There I am. Okay, I started over again.
Yeah.
And that seemed to help.
Okay, no, I mean, sometimes you just start over again. But spiral rope is extremely forgiving for that. So, Vera, without her last name on screen, how are you doing?
I'm sorry, me?
Yeah. How are you doing? Ah, there you
Me.
are. Okay.
I'm going a little cross-eyed, but I got it.
You got it. Okay, Vera, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Sutsus?
Very good. I'm just following along. It's
Okay.
easier for me to watch and then go back and do
Okay.
it after.
Good. Did I pronounce your name reasonably right?
It's actually chochos, like a
I'm
CH.
sorry, Chochos.
No,
Okay.
you did pretty good.
Okay, thank you. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Karun? Karun Kenji? Okay, that's fine. Susan Poole, how are you doing? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to talk. No? Okay. Sylvana, how are you doing? Okay, perhaps the thunderstorms in her area are acting up. Jaga, how are you doing? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good.
You're doing
Good. See, I did this far.
wonderful. It once you get used to it, it builds very quickly, especially
you
if
see?
the larger. I can,
Can
yes.
you see, Pam?
I can see it. It looks great.
Good. Thanks.
Good. You're welcome. Hamda, how are you doing?
I'm going to start again.
Okay. You have, okay, I know everyone has their instructions.
I have
Um,
instructions, yes.
Yeah, go ahead and write all over them. That's, because how I explain something, you may understand it a little bit differently. So go ahead and write all
Pretty
over it and make
crucial
notes.
on how,
So,
it's
we're
pretty
just
crucial
going
on how you go into the bead. Is it
sorry, you're
not?
breaking up.
How you go into the bead is most important.
Yes, yes. Let me go through it again. So
Yeah,
pick up a
okay,
core bead,
gotcha.
outside beads. You're going to stitch up. Your needle is pointing up. You're going to stitch up through the core beads that are on your rope, and you're going to pull through. Like that. Line them up and go through the core bead again. So it's almost like a mantra. Pick up your beads, core and outside beads, needle pointing up through the top three core beads in your rope, pull through, and finish the stitch by going through the top core bead or the core bead that you've just added. So that's the mantra. Just like that. Okay. Now, you can, like I'm using 3 colors here, you can change up your colors, you can change up your beads any way you want. So let me just set this aside. What I did for this one, I'm going to pour out some silver beads here. I'm going to have fun sorting out all these beads on my mat.
Mhm.
So, unless I just mix them together and call it bead soup. Okay, get untangled here. This needle goes with this one, this needle goes with this one. Whoops.
I think that's what I'm going to have, bead soup.
A bead soup is yeah. Okay, so let me show you on this one. This is one I had started before, just where you can change things up. So this is using 4 colors. My center is this silver, so I would pick up my silver, and my 3 outside beads are red. This is for this example: red, white, and green. Okay, so that's the difference between this one and this one, is just the number of colors and where I've placed the colors. And it's no different. You can see the beads on my needle. I'm going through the top 3 beads on my rope, pulling through, lining it up, and going through the core bead again. So this is something you can do with all kinds of different colors. And you don't have to do it in size 8 beads. You can do it in small beads. It's going to take you longer to do it because of the small beads. But
If you're using 5 colors,
yes,
would you do your core bead and still pick up 3? No, you'd pick up your 5
you
colors.
can pick up 4 colors. What it would do, it would make it a little bit looser. So it would have a bigger gap in here, but that's fine. Now you can also mix and match your bead sizes. So for example, for example, this is a necklace. What I did, I've used cylinder beads. It's just a different shaped bead as my core. I like to use size 10 cylinder beads. However, the outside beads that I've used were a size 11, a size 8, and a size 11. So you can mix and match. You can also put a larger bead on it. Let me see, I think I've got something here that I can use. I'm just looking for a very quick, bear with me, I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. When I teach, I really love to show people the possibilities of what can be done. So you can see what happens if you start using different colors. You can use more colors, but you can also add a bead as you stitch. So I've got a red bead here. There's my rope that I'm at that point. I'm going to slip on a bead, bring it down, so that it sits in my beading. Okay, to continue, I would start again. I would start again with 4 core beads,
Cool.
my 3 outside beads, which, oh, sorry, wrong colors. Core is this color, red, white, and green. Okay. Okay, Pam, pay attention. 3, 4, as I say, I'm starting again. Bring my core beads down, like that. Now pick up my 3 outside beads. You don't need to pick up an extra core bead as you start, because your 4 beads are already there. And I'm just going to pull through and start again. If you get a gap like that, just pull it down. Pull it down so it's right down like that. And I could just continue beading. A core, my 3 outside beads, and go through the top 3 that I have been doing all along.
Pam, can I ask you a question?
Of course,
Pam,
yes.
this bracelet,
Yep.
after how many inches you add the big bead?
Actually what you can do is do a little bit and then add your big bead and continue. And then you can actually start stitching the other side. So you can stitch from the middle in spiral rope.
For
And that-
necklace, it doesn't matter, but
For a necklace, it
For-
doesn't matter. But if I'm
for
doing,
bracelet, it should be in the middle, the big.
it should, exactly, it should be in the middle.
So that's why I'm asking how many inches, after how many inches you had to put the,
It depends on the
bead.
size of your wrist, right? So
Yeah.
let me find,
normally it's 7 1/4, right?
normally, yeah. So what I did for this bracelet, I'm just going to lift this a little bit so you can see a little bit more of my board here. Okay, so for this bracelet,
Yeah.
what I did was stitch a little bit, added my beads, and continued stitching. I left lots of thread on this end so that I could continue stitching here. So you can actually start stitching in the middle. Add your focal beads and continue out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will do the next one like that. Okay.
You can do the next one like that. If you're using
Now
different,
I'll do the whole thing same color.
yeah, yep. If
Okay.
you're going, yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome. If you're using 3 different colors like I've done here, if you're going to stitch in the other direction, you may have to reverse your colors. Okay, just an FYI, but you're going to see it right away. And maybe, who knows, maybe that's what you want. But that's how you can add a bead. And that's exactly how I've done this one. These are just bigger beads, and I put really big beads in the middle.
Yeah, this blue one is really pretty.
It is. It's. I really like the colors. Now,
Yeah.
I use a different bead. So, for example, I've used these are size 10 delicas for the core, and the beads that I used on the outside, a little hard to see here, is 2 size 8 beads and a 4mm round bead in the middle. So you could use 4mm pearls. You could use 4mm fire polish. You could use metal beads. There's so much that you can do once you've got it, you know, down pat how to do it. You can just change it up. So these ones where I did, well, here's one where I used fire polish. So on this one, the core is size 8 seed beads, which is what we're using today. The outside is a size 8 on either side, and then a size 4 fire polish in the middle. Fire polish beads are faceted glass beads, and they catch sparkle, and they're nowhere near the same expense as Swarovski at all. Swarovski bead crystal. But, you know, so there's so much you can do with this. There really is. And you can actually not even do patterns. You can just do it random. And it'll almost be like a confetti effect.
She doesn't hear.
Beads. Let me show you another example. Okay, again, change your beads, change the look. This is done using gold core, size 8 beads. The outside beads on either side, I used a size 8 red, and in the middle, I used a 4mm black. So you have something, to me, it's very Asian. It's sort of that, like a lacquered box. So let's see, what else have I got here? Okay, here's something totally different. The core beads I've used, again, size 10 delicas. However, I have used several different beads on the outside. I think you can see I used a size 15, which is a very small bead. I used a size 11, which is sort of that red bead. The gold one there is the 15. The 11, a size 8, that's sort of that yellowy, and then a 4mm cube. Those were my outside beads. And you just do it the same way, and that's the effect that I got for that one. All of these are done with the same stitch, exactly what you're doing today. Any questions so far? Have I whet your appetite for some design work? Now, one more thing to show you, just to show you that there's more that can be done. This is the same, this is a necklace I did. What I did, if you sort of count around, you've got 6. I think it's 6. And what I did here was every 5th, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 5 beads around, and every 5th bead, I stuck a dagger in. What happens is that it all lines up. So I did this in the middle. Again, I probably started here, continued on, and then did the other side, just to make sure that my daggers in that were in the middle. All of these are done the very same way you're doing your bracelet today. Yep.
Pam,
Yes.
can we do the spiky one after finishing everything? No?
You might be able to weave some stuff in. I'm not sure what it would look like. I haven't tried that.
Oh.
Yeah, but as I say, there is so much possibilities here that you know, that it's just amazing what you can do. This was actually one of the first ropes I ever learned, and it has been one of my favorite ropes to do because you can vary it so much. So yeah, how's everyone doing? We're doing well?
Good. Yeah, thank
Good.
you.
Okay, I want to show you how to end this. So let me switch back over. So you can't very well have a bracelet without endings. So I'm actually going to pull this off, and I will show you how to end this. Okay. Now this isn't big enough yet for a bracelet, but what I can do is just end it, take off the clasp, and put a piece of chain on either side and turn it into a focal point for a necklace. Okay, so to end it, let me rethread my needle.
Pam, may I ask what size needle are you using?
I'm, for this size needle, you can use the biggest one, like you can use a size 10 on this, because the size 8 beads have such a big hole.
Right.
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just review the stitch again. So remember, you're going to pick up a core, pick up your 3 outside beads. For this pattern, it was the red, white, and green, or yeah, red, white, and green. Going through the top beads, top 3 beads like that. Pulling through. Let's get this more centered. Line it up and go through the core beads again. Okay, Let's review. Core bead, 3 outside beads in whatever your pattern is. I keep them on the needle so I don't mix up my core beads. Go through the top 3, pull through, line it up, and go through that core bead. Let me show something you don't want to do. Okay, so core bead, my 3 outside beads. I stitch through just normally. But what happens if I don't line it up? What happens if it comes to this side? You'll see how it's wonky. So if you're finding it wonky, that might be your first thing, is just to swing it around the other side so that it continues to line up. And then go through that core bead. Okay, so let's end this one. I'm going to use my core beads and create a loop of beads just like this. I like to create a loop of beads rather than stitch a clasp directly on it because it allows me to change clasps. So I'm going to pick up, what did I use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to pick up an odd number of core beads. I always do an odd numbers just so that they turn into a circle better. So I'm going to pick up 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to stitch through the core bead, the last core bead that is there. I'm going to pull through, and lo and behold, there's a loop. Okay, this is a stress point. As you wear it, you don't want that thread to break in any way, shape, or form. So you need to go through this loop of beads at least 2 or 3 times. With the bigger beads, it's really easy. I keep my fingers there just so they don't fly all over the place. It's not so I'm hiding it. Okay. And okay, so that's twice through. And notice, yes, I'm catching the bead that's in the rope because that's what's attaching it to the rope. And let's just go through this again.
I have a question.
Yes.
Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, no, it's not hypothetical. I'm just using normal thread.
Okay.
So is there anything that we can do, like to strengthen it? Like maybe, because like wash it in a, I don't know, a glue solution or something?
No, that will stiffen the entire bracelet.
Okay.
Yeah, that will stiffen the entire bracelet. If you're able to find and use beading thread, that would be good.
Well,
If
I'm
you're
using beading thread. I'm using beading thread.
Oh, you're using beading thread. Beading
Yeah.
thread is fine. Beading thread is fine. Now, are you using your size 11s in the core?
No, I'm using size 8 for everything.
Okay, good.
Here, I'll show you a picture.
Okay.
I'll see if I could get it going. Hang on. Oopsie.
Oh, that looks good. Yes.
You see it?
Yeah. It looks very thick.
Yeah.
So you've got more beads in there. That looks good.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so I've created an end. I've gone through there 3 times, so that's pretty good. I'm now going to go down. Let's go through it one more time here. Just get my needle in place better. Okay, so I'm going to stop short of of that top bead. It's just a little stiff there. There we go. And I'm going to go down the core now. I'm going to actually literally stitch down the core, and you might be able to only do 2 or 3 beads at a time because of the shape. That secures the whole loop with this. Now, let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see. Okay, let me get here we go. This is where my hand needs to be. Going out from the core beads, you can see the thread. So the thread, for example, going from this red bead to the core, what you're going to do, you're going to create a half hitch knot. So I'm going to stitch under there, and my loop is going to form. Before you pull that through, stitch through that loop. If you do sewing, you probably already do half hitch knots. That's one knot. I like to go through the core beads and do 2 or 3 knots. Okay, so that's going through a couple more cores.
Question,
Yes.
if we happen, I'm hoping I won't, run out of thread, do
Yep.
we connect the same way as before, like with the others?
Yeah, there is instructions on how to connect.
Yeah.
What you can do is tie on your thread to one of these side pieces,
Yes, exactly.
take it through the core, and just continue stitching. And then you'd bury both threads this way.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's do another knot. I've gone through a couple more core beads. I am looking for and going under the thread that is going between, let's go back over here, core bead and the outside beads. Before that loop pulls through, I'm going through that loop. That's 2 knots. Let's do one more knot. I'm stitching backwards here. Okay, pull through. Again, looking for the thread that's going between the outside and the core beads. Go under. Before that loop comes through, go through the loop. And that's actually creating a knot right there like that. Okay, there's 3 knots. I'm going to go through a few more core beads because I don't like to cut my thread where the knot is. I want a little bit of give there just in case. Okay, so I've gone through 4 core beads there. Just pull through. And now I can cut it. So there we go. Here's my cutters. When you're cutting fire line, you want to keep it taut. It cuts much easier. Okay, so.
By pulling it taut, will it spring back into the bead?
Holding it taut will help it cut better. It's not really that stretchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to cut it really close so it's not
Cut
rigid.
it really close, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let me find. You think you're organized until you can't find something.
That's when you go out and buy another one.
Oh, yes, exactly. Like how many packages of jump rings does one person need?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, this isn't the right size jump ring, but it will do. Okay, so this side I've already attached a lobster clasp. There we go. Let's zoom out again. Okay, so this side I've already attached a lobster clasp using a jump ring. So if this was a bracelet, what I would want is another lobster or another jump ring here. So to open and close a jump ring, you need 2 pairs of pliers. I happen to use bent nose, so bent nose look like this. I like this because it's just a better angle for me. The opening of my jump ring is here at the top. It's a little hard to see. You take your pliers both sides and you bring one part toward you, one part away. So what you're creating is almost like a hook. You never open it this way. If you undo the roundness, you'll never get it round again. Okay, I attach it there and I'm going to close it. The same way I open it up, but just going in the opposite direction. And you want to make sure that there's no air where it joins. Air means it's an escape path. So you might not quite, that's when you lose stuff basically. So there's the little bracelet. And to wear it, it's just like that. So now I'm going to I'm going to leave the jump rings off. I'm going to actually undo this. So to show you what I mean about creating this into a necklace. That comes off. This closes again. And at this point, I don't have any chain handy, but I could attach a piece of chain on either side and turn this into a necklace. And at the end of the other pieces of chain, I can add a clasp the very same way. Okay, any questions? Any problems? Okay, I know we have more time. If I'm not sure what else there is to teach you, but I'm game for any questions if you want demos or anything else, any other questions that you might have, sort of general jewelry making, I'm more than happy to answer them.
How would you use a bugle bead?
Bugle bead, okay.
Same thing? It would, but you wouldn't go through the three because it would,
I would,
oh,
yeah.
you would?
I would. So on here, I've used the core beads of the size 10
Okay.
seed, or the size 10 delicas. Delicas are a cylinder bead. It's a different shape bead, but it's got a very large hole. It's got a very large opening. So it's hard to see in here. You can see these bluish beads. That's the core. What I've done here with these is that I picked up an 11. I picked up a short bugle. I think they call these bugles number 1. I picked up size 8. And I picked up another size 11, that purple. And then had gone around initially the 4 core beads, and then adding a core bead as you go. What happens is because the bugles are straight, they're going to give you a different shape. And because I used a different combination of beads, they sort of stick out like that.
Do you use more core beads when you're using the bugles?
Nope, nope. I use the same 4 core beads.
Okay.
Yep.
I see.
This I found it a little harder to create the tension. So you had to sort of push it over more. It was a little looser to work with, so I had to really pull it. I put the seed beads on either side of the bugle beads because bugles are notorious for being sharp and they will cut your thread. So that's why I add seed beads on either side of it. It helps keep the beads from rubbing up against the fire line directly.
But you put a seed, the bugle, and then 2 seed.
Yes, I did a size 8 and a size 11.
Okay.
These are great questions. Any other questions? No? Okay. I do teach. .com. You'll see some of the other things I teach. Right now I am teaching virtual, just like I'm teaching right here. I'm teaching again with Boomerang, not next Saturday, but the Saturday following, and we're going to look at how to do stretchy bracelets. And everyone says, oh, stretchy bracelets are so easy. Well, there is a trick to making sure your stretchy bracelets don't fall apart. That knot. So, you know, that's what I'm doing there. I'm also doing a class in August that's going to be all about beading tools. And I'll be demonstrating and talking about what kind of beading tools that you might want to have as part of your toolbox. So